In fact, in the Old Testament, what's interesting, a lot of people aren't aware of this, is that 3 types of people are called Mashiachim, Messiahs. There are kings, there are priests, and there are prophets. Okay? So there are king Messiahs, there are prophet Messiahs, and there are priest Messiahs. Now, the book of Hebrews tells us that Jesus is all 3 of these things. But, the Jews primarily will focus on the king Messiah, which I'm very skeptical of. I mean, the book of 2 Samuel says that there's always going to be someone sitting on David's throne. And it says forever. And this simply did not happen when Zedekiah was deposed prior to the Babylonian, or during the Babylonian invasion. The Davidic line ceased to exist. So that so-called verse in the Bible, this sort of guarantee that's in the book of 2 Samuel, has been historically falsified, right? And then if you look at all of these descriptions of the Messianic age in the book of Isaiah and Jeremiah and so on and so forth, all of these things were fulfilled before the 5th century, during the exilic or post-exilic periods, primarily by either Hezekiah, whom I believe is being prophesied in Isaiah chapter 11, Isaiah chapter 6, Isaiah chapter 7, Isaiah chapter 9.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these things came to pass or found fruition with them. So I'm very skeptical of this idea of this eschatological Davidic king Messiah who's going to come towards the end of time. It seems to me that this idea is sort of a radical reinterpretation of these texts in the Old Testament that have been basically historically falsified. There's no more, after Zedekiah, there are no more Davidic kings. So basically the Jewish scholastic community went back to that verse and said, well, God must have been talking about the future somehow. Yeah. So, and then, there are priest messiahs, so like...
The Dead Sea Scrolls, of course, mentions possible 2 messiahs, a priestly and a prophetic one, and even a non-Jewish messiah is mentioned, Cyrus, famously in Isaiah. Cyrus, the king of Persia, I think, he was obviously by definition not Jewish, and yet he was the Messiah. It's the same word that's used of other messiahs. So a non-Jewish Gentile Messiah.
So I think Jesus was a prophet Messiah. I don't think he was a king Messiah. I don't know how we could establish, or I don't know how Christians establish that he was a descendant of David if they want to maintain belief in the virgin birth, because tribal distinction comes from the father's side. Jewishness is established matrilineally, so his mother was a Jewess, he's a Jew, but in order for him to be from House David, his father has to be from David. So they have this interesting way of sort of working their way around that and saying that, he inherited the Davidic line from his legal father, which is a very strange thing. In Judaism, it seems kind of ad hoc. But from our perspective, my understanding of the Quran is that Isa alayhi salam is a prophet Messiah. Inni Abdullah atani al-kitaba wa ja'alani nabiyya. Indeed, I am a servant of God. He has given me revelation and has appointed me as a prophet. So the Jews traditionally will really emphasize the Messiah as being a king. The Christians emphasize probably more than any other thing that he's a priest, right? A priest gives the sacrifice. He gave his own life. Whereas I would say that the Quran is emphasizing or correcting these 2 ideas, or correcting their Christology, as it were, and emphasizing that he was a prophet Messiah, because 3 groups of people are called Messiah in the Old Testament, not just kings, priests and prophets. So that's I think that's an important point to make.